You are sitting in a parking lot outside an apartment building you've never been to. Your phone says 6:58. Pay me on dinner is hot 7. You haven't moved in 4 minutes, and the thing is, you still don't know what you did wrong. 6 months ago, you met Jisoo at a coffee shop, when neither of you meant to stay long. She laughed at something you said and then looked immediately embarrassed about it, like laughing was something she had to ration. You thought that was charming. You didn't know yet that it was a survival skill. She told you about her parents, in small pieces, a detail here, a warning there. Her father had immigrated with $40 and a suitcase that smelled like mothballs and ambition. Her mother had put herself through nursing school while raising 2 kids in an apartment where the heat stopped working every January. They're not mean, Jisoo said one night, pressing her thumbnail into her palm like she was doing the math on something. They just have a very specific idea of what a good life looks like. You nodded. You thought you understood. You didn't understand anything yet. The first dinner was in March. The elevator smelled like garlic and floor cleaner. You were holding a box of pastries from a bakery, Jisoo said her mother liked, and your palms had sweated through the bottom of it. Jisoo pressed the doorbell and then stood very straight. You noticed that the way her spine changed when the door opened. Her father looked at you the way a man looks at a contract he didn't agree to sign. Not hostile, just assessing. He said your name once, slowly, like he was deciding what to do with it. Her mother smiled with her mouth and asked if you were hungry. You said yes. Wrong answer. But you wouldn't know that until much later. The food was extraordinary and you were afraid to eat too much of it. You were afraid to eat too little. You kept watching Jisoo's hands to see what to do next. Her father asked about your job in a tone that made your job sound like a hobby. He didn't ask it meanly. It was almost worse. He answered in full sentences. He nodded and moved to the next question. Your education. Your family. Whether you owned or rented. You felt like you were applying for something, and no one had told you the requirements. The stone pot kept bubbling on the table. Jisoo's knee found yours underneath it, just for a second. You held on to that for the rest of the night. You did fine, she said at the elevator. What does fine mean? She looked at the button instead of you. It means they didn't ask you not to come back. Here's the thing no one tells you about loving someone whose family runs on a different operating system than yours. It's not the big moments that wear you down. It's the small ones. It's learning that you never pour your own drink before the elders have theirs. It's understanding that we'll see means no, and maybe means no. And silence at the dinner table means something happened that no one will explain until 3 weeks later through Jisoo. It's realizing that every time you walked into that apartment, you were being graded on a rubric you were never given. And here's the part that wrecked you. You started to care, not because you had to, because somewhere between the 4th dinner and the 7th, her father told you a story about working a factory night shift when Jisoo was 2 years old, and his voice went somewhere far away for just a moment, and you understood, for the first time, that his silence wasn't coldness. It was everything he hadn't had time to grieve. You don't know when the shift happened, but somewhere you stopped performing and started learning. You learned how to say yal, miyajitsumnada, after meals. And the first time you said it correctly, her mother made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh, but was something better. You learned that her father watched your hands, whether you were idle or useful, so you stopped being idle. You learned that showing up early meant more than anything you could say, so you started showing up at 6:45. You were still being tested, but you had stopped resenting the test. One night, Jisoo told you something she'd never said out loud before. They spent everything, she said. Every dollar, every year of sleep, every argument they didn't have because they were too tired. They spent it all on me. So when they look at you, she stopped. They're not looking at you, she said quietly. They were looking at whether it was worth it. You didn't say anything. The city breathed below the balcony. You understood now why she rationed her laughs. She'd been carrying that her whole life. The moment came on a Tuesday in November. No occasion. No milestone. Her father walked past you while you were helping clear the table and set a bowl of food beside you without a word. His hand rested on your shoulder for exactly 1 second. Then he walked away. Jisoo froze. Her mother turned back to the sink a second too late to hide her smile. You looked down at the bowl. Your throat did something you didn't expect. You're different. No, not because they changed you. Because you chose to learn something instead of defend yourself. You still get things wrong. Last month you called her father by his first name by accident, and the temperature in the room dropped 6 degrees, and nobody said a word in that silence was somehow more effective than anything they could have said out loud. But you stayed. You kept coming back. And slowly, incrementally, and visibly, they started to trust you. You're back in that parking lot, same building. Same 6:58 p.m. But you're not gripping the steering wheel this time. You're reaching for the grocery bags in the passenger seat. Her mother mentioned 2 months ago, once, in passing, that she was running low on sesame oil. You wrote it down. You remembered? You go inside. The question you were asking yourself that first night, will they ever accept me, turned out to be the wrong question entirely. The right question was whether you were someone worth accepting. And that, it turned out, was always something only you could answer. Some doors don't open when you knock. They open when you prove you were worth the wait.